tomorrow. Obviously, a little different of a Bay team we saw earlier in the season, pushing for a playoff spot. Just what are your expectations heading into tomorrow night?
Yeah, they've brought in some good additions. The likes of Dal Kemper coming in. um, that's a good signing, and also Penelope Hockin adding to their attack. So yeah, we're expecting a different team to what we played against at home. I think where we're at in this stage of the season, every game's going to be difficult. They're obviously trying to solidify their position in the playoffs. We're obviously trying to keep ourselves at the top of the table as well. So I expect a good, challenging game for both teams.
We were just talking with Julie too, and you mentioned a lot in your press conferences of defense isn't just the back line. Another shutout last game for this one. Just how have you felt about the full team defense this year, and sort of how do you as a team, as a coach that?
Yeah, I think historically it's not something that we've really focused on. We knew going into this year that we had to rectify that and make ourselves a little bit harder to play against. Having a good defensive shape, a good foundation to allow ourselves to stay in games and ultimately win games as well. You can see in a lot of our results this year, it's been a 1 goal margin. And so, yeah, everyone's bought into it. It starts from the back, but it's led at the front as well. The forwards doing their roles of pressing at the right moments to ultimately win the ball and try and transition to try and score goals. But again, it's a collective effort from everyone, and not just for the starters, the players who can come off the bench and again see the game out. We've had a good result with not conceding late on in games as well, something that last year we weren't able to do. And so that's allowed us to put ourselves in these positions where we can go on and win games.
For you as a coach, knowing that your first goal of getting in the playoffs has been accomplished and clinched, does that change your tactics or thinking as you sort of enter the final stretch of the season? Or are you still going game by game, try to win every single one?
Yeah, we want to stay unbeaten as long as possible. Again, just take it game by game. Like you said, our goal was to make playoffs. It's only the second time in history that Pride have done that. We've achieved that, and obviously going through the experience of what we did last year as well, which was bitterly disappointing. We've changed that now. We're in it. Obviously, finishing in top 4 is another one of our goals, to make sure we have that home field advantage going into the postseason. And then lastly, finishing top of the table, which is something that, we all aspire to do. And again, 6 games to go. It starts with Bay FC, and hopefully we can get 3 points.
Top 4 is sort of the next, like you said, the next goal. Opportunity to do this weekend, the easiest one, win, and you got it.
Yeah.
For the other situations. What would it mean for you, who's been here, so long, and for the team to have a home playoff game, not just get into the playoffs, but actually do it for your fans?
Yeah, not just for me, but just for the fans. I think they deserve that. The ones who've stuck by us through the hard times as well. It would be amazing to have that home field advantage going into the postseason. Yes, of course, we'd love to do it this Friday against Bay FC. With games to go, knowing that we're going to have that home game, in the postseason. And I think it's massive. I think it's great for us because we've really changed the narrative of, being difficult to play against at home. I think that was also one of our goals going into this year, is make it as difficult as possible for teams to come to Inter and Crow Stadium and try and play against us. And yeah, we can see that with our results and our performances. And so to get that in the postseason will be massive. And then hopefully we can continue that all throughout the pro season going into the championship game.
We talked a lot about Corey coming out of the Kansas City game. There's a lot of talk about Emily too. Sam just sort of laying her body on the line in that game, and just her play in general this season as part of the strong back line. Just with having young players, especially on the defensive side, who are willing to sort of lay it all out there. Just how does that feel for you as a former defender, as their coach, but also as you're trying to build them as well?
Yeah, it takes a certain character, right? and everyone has to buy into it. You know, defending's not always nice and easy, and you may not get the plaudits as much as you deserve, but you know, the back line, and I can go through all of them. They've done a terrific job, as well as Anna in the goal. But yeah, it does challenge you mentally. You know, someone like Corey going against a player with like Chewinga with her quality and her speed and her power. You know, I thought she did terrific. You know, Kylie as well did terrific. You know, more of an experienced player, but learning the role as a centre back, and she's played left back for the majority of her career. Kerry Abello, like you mentioned, Sam's as well, and you know, you have to have that character that you have to thrive in those moments. You know, 1v1 duels is really important. Staying switched on, staying you know, concentrating throughout the game. But yeah, you can see in the results and the goals conceded that everyone's bought into their roles and responsibilities in that back line. And that's just a back line, but like we talked earlier, the midfield playing their part in these clean sheets as well is really important, as well as the forwards.
Last thing, on the other end of the attack, obviously Barbara came in, kind of exploded. She's had a little bit of a lull in terms of her goal scoring, but the other attackers have been there to sort of pick it up. How do you feel, two-part question, as a coach, to know that you have a number of goal scorers that can contribute, but also how difficult does that make your job when it comes to picking who's going to get minutes?
Yeah, I think any forward would tell you they'll go through these patches where they may not get goals. Like you said, Barbara came into the league and set the world alight. You know, goals every game. And so the biggest concern for us would be if she wasn't creating opportunities, if she wasn't getting in the right positions to try and score goals. And, you know, teams are trying that bit harder to keep it out of the net for her. You know, if it wasn't for a goal line clearance against Chicago, she would have scored. You know what I'm saying? And goalkeeper last week pulled off some really good saves. So she's getting in the right positions. It's just a spell, but it might be a good thing this time of the year, because one goal, we know if she scores that one goal, it might, you know, spur on to score many more. But you know, you can see that other players have contributed that. You know, if Barbara's getting, you know, tag teamed, there may be someone else who's open who can capitalise on those moments. So you can see Marta, Summer, Adriana, they've all contributed to the goal scoring as well, which is really important, that we're not just relying on one player to score us goals.